always, I generated way too many slides, which means I have to talk extra fast. But slow me down if I'm talking really too fast. The second point, I hate to see empty slides. So whenever there's an empty slide, just put a nice padding there. So you can try to guess what it is. My students actually like this. I think that's the only thing about my lectures that they like. Can you hear me like this? Can you hear me like this? Okay, so I'm going to talk about selection of screening libraries. And this is just a generalized slide I tend to stick in all my presentation. Just to remind us, we don't need to synthesize new compounds. We are not interested in new compounds. We are interested in new properties. And I guess this will distinguish us from the organic chemist. So the real organic chemist is interested in a new compound. If it has another property, great. But that's not the essence. In our case, medicinal chemist, drug developer, this is what we want, new properties, not necessarily new compounds. And the second point is that as computational chemists, medicinal chemists, the only question which we are asked is which compound to test next. That's the only thing that matters. And the answer to this question depends on two factors. The first one is what we know. The second one is what we have. So, if we know something about the target of interest, we can use target-specific libraries. If we know something about the target and the ligands, we can use ligand-based approaches. If we know something about the target, the structure of the target, and ligands that bind to the target, we can use structure-based approaches. The other factor is what we have. So, if we have in-house compounds, we can screen them. If we have money, not always the case, but sometimes, we can buy them. If we have synthetic capabilities, we can actually synthesize the compounds. Now, note that there is one scenario which is not covered here, and it's the most, in a way, this is the most interesting one, and I'm going to get to it in a second. But before this, just quickly covering the other scenario. So, if we know the target, that's the only thing we know. We don't know the ligand, we don't know the structures, we just know that there is a target. This is taken from enamine, maybe. I don't remember by now. But these are target-specific libraries, and there are many, many of these. All the vendors will today sell you target-specific libraries. Here's just one example. This is the antibacterial library of 30,000 compounds. Okay, a lot of information about them. This is a kinase library with 65,000 compounds. I think this one was just shamelessly appropriated from the enamine side. Okay, if we know something about the ligands, we know for active ligands, hopefully about inactive ligands, or at least random ligands, which we assume to be inactive, we can use ligand-based approaches. So we can use pharmacophore models, we can use what I call substructure-based models, which means you have a compound, you have an interesting substructure, look for other compounds which contain the same substructure, and what I call ligand model, for the lack of a better definition, similarity. Okay? We have one active compound, and you are looking for similar compounds because of the similarity principle, right? Similar compounds have similar properties. Okay? And then we can each one of them actually generate a model, and then you can virtual library that you're talking about, and you can screen them, and you can optimize, and maybe if everything works out okay, you have a drug candidate. If we also know something about the structure, either we have a PDB structure or a cryo-electron microscopy structure, or we have a sequence that we can do homology modeling. Now nobody's doing homology modeling, right? Everybody's using AlphaFold. But we still sometimes do homology modeling and also compare the results to AlphaFold model and sometimes find differences. But this is a whole different story. You can use this to build a protein structure or protein model, and then you can do the screening based on docking or also based on the pharmacophore. through a virtual library, and so on and so forth. So this is kind of classical. Now, the nice question is when you don't know much. So, you don't know the target. Maybe this is a phenotypic screening. Okay? You only know the indication. You want to treat obesity, you want to treat cancer, but you don't know the target. What do you do in this case? So there are several options. You can use privileged structures. I'll say a few words about this in a second. You can try to use framework or scaffold, and we're not going to get into the difference between framework and scaffold, which are common in drugs, and these have been analyzed, and I'll show you an example. Or you can use the concept of diversity and use a diverse library. So, privileged structures, many of them. These are molecular frameworks that are able to serve as ligand for a diversity of targets. Some of them come from natural compounds, some of them, or many of them, are found in drugs. Or you can use scaffold, which are common in drugs. So this is an analysis which was done like almost 50 years ago, based on the then CMC database, and you can see the most common scaffold which appear in drug compounds. So you can target these, or you can try to screen these. Or you can use diversity. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with the concept of diversity, but the way I look at this is the following. This is the chemical space, and the chemical space is huge. I think I have a slide with the estimation of the size of the chemical space. And you're looking for this small island on which the compounds you are interested on reside. So these are all the islands. And the best way, or one of the best ways to find this island in this huge chemical space is to use diversity. And again, this is because of the similar property principles. Similar compounds have similar properties. So if you are screening similar compounds, you may get similar activities. But this is not what you want if you don't know anything about anything. You want a diverse library which will maximize the chances of finding any type of activity. Okay? Now the question is how to select a diverse subset, and there are many ways to do this. Okay? In order to select a diverse subset, you need several ingredients. You need a database, you need molecular descriptors, specifically molecular descriptors which work well in the context of diversity, and there are ways to test for this. You need a diversity scores, and most diversity scores are based on distance between the compounds, and you need a diversity algorithm, and there are a selection of diversity algorithms to choose from. Cluster analysis, similarity, sphere, cell-based, optimization-based, you name it. Okay. So let's go back to the issue of screening libraries. So you want a library which contains several factors, and there are actually 6 factors which you should be looking at. 3 of them are scientific, and 3 of them are technical. So the scientific are the source, the size, and the type. Privileged structure, non-privileged structure, and the non-scientific, but sometimes more important, are the price, the availability. You really don't want to wait for one year in order for the provider to provide you the compound, and the reliability. How reliable is the vendor? Not all vendors are equally reliable. There are no vendors, right? Okay, it's fine. So I can continue. We have run into, when I was working in the industry, and also today when I work in the academia, we ran into issues with vendors. Some vendors cannot deliver on what they promise. This is the same reality we need to keep it in mind. Okay, so size. Is screening a game of numbers? Yes, it is. I mean, there are several estimates of the size of the property space, of the chemical space. It's a little bit hard to see the numbers here, but they range between 10 to the power of 13, okay, this is way too long, and until 10 to the power of 60. Okay, so these are huge numbers. And screening is a game of numbers. I mean, no matter how good your screening methodology is, you test more compounds, you have more chances of getting hits. Okay, so we need to think about the size reduction mechanism, and as always, mechanism depends on knowledge. The more we know, the better we can reduce it. The better we can kind of smartly navigate in this huge chemical space. Okay, so you go now to, so you want now to start a project and you want to buy the screening library. What do? You go to the vendors. And I think I updated this about 3 months ago, so maybe it's not completely up to date, but it's pretty good. So any of these vendors would provide you screening libraries. This is the name of the library, this is the number of compounds, and all of them would swear that this is the best library ever, which always works. To try to test this. So a while ago we devised kind of a workflow to testing them. And it is made of several factors. So you take a library and you test it for admin properties, and this would include a Lipinski filter, and we use the fabric filter, which I'm not going to go into, blood-brain barrier, permeation. This is just one way which you can filter compounds by. And then there is the issue of promiscuous binders, pains. I'll say a few words about it. And then there is the issue of internal diversity. All this part here on the left is global. So any project, whichever one you have in mind, can benefit from the left part. Now, if you have more information, you can apply additional criteria to the library. So, for example, if you already know of active compounds, you can bias the library, or you select the library. You can select the library which contain more compounds which are similar to the one which you want. Another option, you already have something in-house. You have a library in-house and you want to complement this library by another one. So you can compare what you have in-house to whatever the vendors offer you, and you can either select the library which is most similar to what you already have. If you think that what you have is great, or to select something which is completely different if you want to complement what you have. Okay, so everyone knows about Lipinski, right? And the Lipinski rules of 5. Just to remind you something, people still kind of get confused about this. Lipinski rules of 5 were never meant to be drug-likeness. They're only telling you something about oral bioavailability. Okay? Drug-like is just oral bioavailability. And another thing you have to remember, these are not curved in stone. And pharmaceutical companies tend to take these rules too seriously. In the sense of I've seen many projects or many promising compounds which were killed just because they do not comply with Lipinski rules. Try not to do that. This is not good practice. This is a guide, maybe a red flag, but not more than this. Okay? There are approved drugs, and I'll show you this in a second, that do not comply with Lipinski rules. Okay, you can build models. This is one model which we built a long time ago. This is a blood-brain barrier model. This is not the best model which is out there, but this is a reasonable model. But you can build models using any QCR method you would like, and you can incorporate them as part of your library selection process. You can filter the compounds. Amir will just talk about this. So you can filter the compound using a model and select that library which contains the most interesting compound for you. A few words about pains and phantom pains. So, a while ago, people from the industry came up with the idea of pains, compounds which turn to be active in many assays, and they are now kind of a set functional group, which when they appear in compounds, they kind of raise the red flag. This might be a pains compound. And this goes so much into our scientific work that if you are trying to submit the manuscript to Journal of Medicinal Chemistry and the compounds is predicted that has pains like moiety, then the editor might reject it. Okay? And the same way goes with toxicity alerts. Okay? So there are several groups in molecules which are considered to be toxic, and when they are in a molecule, they tend to raise kind of a red flag. Be careful. thing I want to say about it is that we all need to remember that a molecule is much more than the sum of its fragments. Okay, so the fact that there is a fragment, a toxic fragment, or a Payne's fragment in a molecule does not necessarily make the molecule a Payne's molecule or a toxic molecule, and vice versa. If there are no such fragments in the molecule can still be toxic or can still be a Payne's molecule. Still, because people are so much concerned with it, we have incorporated Payne filters in our workflow. Okay, so to next. We have selected several libraries, several vendors. These are the libraries. These are some of the properties. We did data curation. Just you remove duplicate, correct for incorrect Lewis structure, and so on and so forth. You see that almost none of the vendors had any problem with data curation. So the vendors are actually pretty good at curating their libraries. API filtering, that's interesting. Okay, so almost none of the compounds fail the Lipinski rule. Almost none of the compounds fail the Weber rule, except this compound, except this library. Now, you know what's unique about this library? This is a library of FDA-approved drugs. All the other libraries are just libraries for Weber. The rest of the library is 1,200 compounds of approved drugs. So you see that approved drugs fail the Lipinski rule and fail the Weber rule, and everyone is happy about this. Promiscuous binder. None have promiscuous binder, or compounds defined as promiscuous binder, except again as the FDA approved library. It's kind of an interesting lesson. Internal diversity, you can measure it in many ways. Not surprisingly, the Preston chemical library is the most diverse one. So you can rank the library based on this criteria. This library came up to the first in the rank based on the admin properties. And because I don't have much time, I will go quickly over this. In this case, we just built one pharmacophore model. It has nothing to do with any of the libraries. It's just an old project. We screened the compound. We looked how many compounds each library has, which comply with the pharmacophore model, and we incorporated this in the ranking. And this library still came first. And the last thing we did is we defined one library as an in-house library, compared all other libraries to it, and we saw that none of the libraries are actually similar to one another, which might be nice, might not be nice. It's just a consideration. Okay, so we finally ranked the library based on our purposes, and we actually bought this library, we tested it in one project, and it came up, and we got some active compounds. And this is
are there any questions?
Is there a method which can consider as a gold standard? A gold standard in screening.
No, I'm unaware of any gold standard. Each company, each lab has its own set of preferences. This kind of goes back to what I asked you before. Is there, if you start always from the same library, will you always get something? If the answer, as you said, is yes, then there is no real need for a gold standard, right? Just take any reasonable size library and rely on your filtration method. Remember though, that if your library doesn't contain active compounds against your specific target, no matter how good your filtration method is, it's not going to get it. Whether any large enough size that contains actual hits for everything, and maybe not a definite answer. The similarity ranking, the and we ask ourselves how similar are the other library to our own library. The idea here was to select that library which is most similar to what you have in-house, if this is what you want to do, or to select the least similar if you want to complement your library by something which is completely different. Yeah. I don't remember, but in one of the previous, in one of the previous slide, I have the number of components in each library. So I don't remember which one. I don't remember. No. So all the library were 50,000 and above.
So, great talk, Hanov. Just citing that we're sitting here, all members of small pharma and academia, and you should be really giving the talk to big pharma, because when you talk to big pharma, if you bring them a molecule that's got any problem, any one of these issues we discussed that maybe have no correlation to success, you won't even get through the door. I had one active molecule with a nitro group. My advisor who came from big pharma said, get rid of the nitro group. Took a couple of weeks, he got rid of the nitro group. He said, with nitro, you will not get through the door. So and there are things that could work with that. The point is, you should probably try to also make an impact with this research at the business sector, and try to combine some of the psychology of business decisions with that. I think you could really make a difference in the way big pharma takes these rules of thumb and maybe overplays them as an organization.
I've seen it again and again now. I can understand to a certain extent why it happens in big pharma, but I've seen it also in academic laboratories. Where, people are just removing compounds because, I don't know, there is a Lipinski problem. Guys, try it. This is why we're in the academia, right? We don't have to answer to anyone, almost. So try it.